roadkillradio.org. You're listening to the Open Windows Show. So now's the time we've been waiting for. Please welcome Cold Gray Eye. moment of silence. Cold gray eye.
Moment of silence.
Good God.
It was more than that.
Wow.
I have on a piece of paper written intricate, and that's what it's totally a blowout. Amazing what I wish. Well, let's put it this way for a minute. Maybe you would like to describe what you were doing.
Yeah, let's get the two members of Cold Gray Eye onto a microphone nearest them. That one there is perfect. Yeah.
I wanted to put you on the spot, actually.
Herbert von Karajan here, and Francisco.
This is sugar
Yeah,
balls.
you can just turn it and talk it up into it.
How does this sound?
Turn it the other side. Yeah. Herbert, you're here. You're standing. You're talking into it.
Hi.
Welcome to the
Testing.
center of the stereo field.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
So yeah, I can hear you fine. You guys, thanks for playing. This was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, Steve's question was, the first thing was, what the people listening out there don't see is what you guys are playing. With the entire floor of the studio here is filled with, looks like a garbage dump, scrap metal yard or something.
Uh-huh.
Describe what you're playing.
Well, I've got a bunch of different things here. I was just playing a cymbal, the ride from my drum kit, but I also have a gong that I made a long time ago, that out of just a piece of sheet metal, and a bunch of fire alarm bells, and then
Rescued from
a swap meet, actually.
okay.
I used to have them all hooked up to the things that made them sound like a fire alarm, but I detached them. And then this, I think this is bronze, or it's probably lead or tin or something, but covered in bronze. But
Something toxic to the skin.
hopefully.
The Bronze Age.
It's from
We've
Turkey.
entered. Really?
A friend of mine, old friend of mine, who I don't really talk to anymore, gave me a bunch of stuff that somebody gave to her from Turkey, and this was one of the things that she gave me.
Wow.
But basically, I just kind of hit them and rubbed them with different things to make different sounds. And it's not so much about the piece of metal that I'm rubbing, more so as the thing I'm rubbing the piece of metal with. Like this is the cymbal rubbed with a super ball. So it kind of gives you a bunch of different sounds based on.
Good God.
And we have. I've got it running through a few effects, just a couple of delay pedals.
Some kind of contact mic set up and to amplify it, I guess.
Yeah, actually, you gave me
Yeah.
this contact mic, with it's just basically a platform with a what's called a piezo transducer on it, which converts vibration into sound.
Looks like a little electronic drum pad.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
But there's something mystical involved with the conversion, though. I mean, it's not just a thing hit with something. There's something else that goes in. It seems like to me when I hear it. It's something else that comes through those speakers. Something more. Something that you coax out of it through knowing how to touch it and rub it and
We try to
bow it.
try to think of different ways to have our way with these homemade instruments.
It's true.
Good
That's
God. Now,
definitely
speaking of
true.
God, there's an instrument there that I know you've told me is called God.
Yes, and Francisco loves to touch God. And
Steve, you're laughing.
Coke's moaning terrible sounds from God.
Can you touch God for us on command, like for a second?
Everything you heard was under God tonight.
You hear that? That's God. The sound of God.
It's got 3 different springs. One's a chain of short springs. One is a garage spring, and the other one is about a spring, the diameter of a nickel. And they're all strung together longwise. And there's a metal panel on the baseboard, and then a contact mic clamped
Kill radio.
to a piece of the wood.
Yeah.
Amazing. Someone's calling.
We try to use different I would say sticks or mallets.
So this is all stuff that you guys have constructed. It's not something you could go buy.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of the whole thing, right? That you guys are doing. It's all like more than just do it yourself, DIY. It's build it yourself, construct it yourself, right?
Yeah. Basically, it's just a bunch of springs rigged up onto a piece of wood.
Yeah.
With another contact mic running through it to pick up the sounds it makes. So.
Hold on for a minute.
So,
what's your name?
So you guys have been playing together for how long?
Excuse me?
We've been playing. I don't know how long, Francisco.
Oh, okay. Well, let me interrupt for a moment because
Okay,
I think
I
there's
guess
a
we have a
caller
caller.
that's asking some questions.
He wants to know about Cold Gray Eye and his name is Ron, and he wants to know about your origins.
Yeah, why don't
Our
you
origins.
why don't
Okay.
you go ahead and put the phone up to your ear so you're hearing the caller, and I'm going to put the caller on live on the air here. Okay.
Hi, caller.
Hello. I'm liking sound very much.
Oh yeah. All right.
Yes,
Who's
yes.
calling?
My name is Vod. I'm from Glendale, but I'm wondering where do you get the name Cold Gray Eye?
We have
creepy.
Vod calling. Where did you get the name?
Where did we get the name?
Before it was Cold Gray Eye, it was called Primer. When
It's very mysterious, no?
yeah, I tried to when we were gonna put out our CD, the second CD. I told the then bandmates, well, Primer
Hello?
is a pretty common name.
Can you hear Francisco in the radio there?
I'm hearing nothing. It's just silence.
Oh, Francisco's not coming through apparently.
Oh, well, how's this? Do you hear him now?
He's better.
All right.
Are you calling from Latvia or something? I don't.
Are you listening from Latvia or you said Glendale, right?
Socialist Telephone
Glendale,
Network.
Yeah, it used to be called Primer when a couple other guys were in the band. I met them. They asked me to join after we jammed once. And then I suggested, after I was in the band for a while, we changed the name because it used to be called Primer. And it's a pretty common name. There's at least a few bands already with that name. And they didn't seem to worry about it. But I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to complain about it, I guess I better come up with a better name then. So I thought Cold Gray Eye was pretty unique, pretty memorable, a little bit better than Primer. So they agreed, and we went with that.
Now, when I first saw you guys, there was a different lineup.
Right. Yeah. So we were both in a band with a friend of ours, Jerry, but Cold Gray Eye was Francisco and Jerry's project. Sorry, we were both in a band with our a friend of ours, Jerry.
Yeah.
And Cold Gray Eye was Francisco and Jerry's project, and Between Ravens and Crows was Jerry's and my project. So when Jerry left to move to Indonesia, we just sort of decided to play together.
Yeah, we were his musician orphans.
Yes.
So we decided to group up,
create our own
It's very
family.
nice name.
Oh, thank you.
It goes great with mysterious music. I like very much.
Thank you.
Vod likes
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yes,
Vod.
yes. Thank you so much, and you are having a great evening to everyone.
Oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for
Yeah,
calling.
Vod, you should.
All right, have a good evening.
You
Okay.
too. Thank you.
Thanks for calling,
Good
Vod.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was really nice to get a call from Latvia or wherever he was calling from. So anyway, this is interesting to hear your history. That there's been lineup changes. Your old friend Jerry moved out of country.
Yeah.
And then you stepped in, Herbert. So when are you guys playing next?
We don't have any plans as of yet, but usually things.
We seldom play. We'd like to play more
That's
often.
good. I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We just need to, get our foot in the door, promote more, and talk to more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, play more often, please.
We
It's a
play.
request.
We kind of play every so often at Orange County Center for Contemporary Art.
Okay.
We're both from Fullerton, so Orange County people.
Yeah, thanks for driving up to play on the show. So what?
Thanks for having
more
us.
about the band itself. Like, what do you guys? What's the whole concept? What are you thinking about when you're composing? Are these composed pieces, or is it completely improvised?
There's certain things I think that we revert to, or well, this sounds good. We'll try this again. But overall, it is improvising. We try to think of stuff on the spot and feed off each other during the performances.
Yeah, I have a sampler here, an old Boss Dr. Sample SP202, and I have 3 samples that I use for Cold Gray Eye here for a set. And so far, yeah, I need to get my 3 megabyte memory card that goes in here, and it'll increase this thing's memory by 90% or something.
It's like Neuromancer, like the guy's like
900% probably.
The whole thing is like 4 megabytes. He's
Yeah,
like
it's
bootlegging 4
I'm
megabytes.
pretty much doing the same thing with a laptop.
But yeah,
overpriced sampler.
but I start with one, I move on to another, and so that sort of is a little bit scripted, but everything else, it's pretty much just we kind of build off each other.
What would you say the style of music is that you're playing?
I don't know.
Basically noise and some drone. We sent one of our CDs to a distributor, and they responded saying that we were very nice, dark ambient.
Dark ambient.
I didn't consider ourselves that, but I guess maybe we are.
Yeah, I could. I mean, that's a general category. It's really big, and noise is a huge category. What do you think, Steve? We talk about noise a lot here on the show.
I've been getting an education on this. What is dark ambient? Maybe you can expand on that one.
I don't know.
Oh, that's an honest answer. Okay.
Category at Amoeba Records.
I got it now. Okay.
I think I would say we're experimental or but subtle. I don't know. I think a lot of when I think of noise, I think like really
that would be harsh
loud,
noise. Yeah,
loud,
that would be harsh noise.
Okay, yeah.
We've had some harsh noise on the show here too.
Right.
We've had noise pop. We've had all kinds of different things. We've had folkcore noise. I mean, no, but what is it that motivates you to make music that has kind of a distorting effect to it?
Well, I like the subtlety of what we do. I was always attracted to that with Jerry and Francisco's project before, and then my project with Jerry was quite a bit different, actually. I think. I don't know. You've heard us. What would you say?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has an Eastern influence. That's one of the driving motivations behind it. I mean, there's more ethnic instrumentation, I guess you would have to say. Southeast Asian, Balinese instruments, but then there's also almost a post-punk element to it. So maybe more aggressive, I would say, between Ravens and Crows.
I guess.
But then other times it's more melodic, and so
I was always very
less subtle,
attracted to the subtlety of what Jerry and Francisco did, and just the quiet with which they proceeded, and then just this like wrenching despair of noise that followed was just, just filled my soul, so great.
What is it about noise in general, though, that
sweet
that
suffering
defines our time that you can't get away from? So many musicians have gone in different flavors of noisier realms. What is it? I'm trying to understand this myself, and I wonder if you guys have insight.
Maybe it's just basically people just opening up to using different sounds. And that's a really big category. Is
it a reaction against something, or?
I think it's expression, definitely. I think, at least from my standpoint, I feel like it's just, a very visceral form of expression that is extremely cathartic.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you can make it any which way, and with traditional instruments, you kind of get put into a mindset. This is how it's used.
Conventional thinking.
Yeah, it's easy. Yeah. It's easy to just use it the way it's intended to be used.
Yeah.
When you make noise, you can make noise out of anything.
It's kind of free
like that. Yeah. Then you can just make any kind of sound you want, and you can express yourself any which way with those sounds.
And it doesn't take a classical education to do it.
No.
It just takes creativity and.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Steve?
Yeah, it's kind of like a twist on the word noise, because I found it to be very soothing tonight, what you were doing.
Sure.
It's more than so. It's very soothing, very soothing.
Very soothing.
No, I could meditate to this music.
I could.
My wonderful fiance came and saw us once, and I was expecting her to, say, "Wow, that was very nice," and
politely,
but she was like, "No, it was very meditative and soothing." I was like, "Wow, really? Cool."
Yeah.
Glad you think so.
I think one time when they saw a show that Bastard Noise was playing at, I think I fell asleep, but it was so soothing.
You fell asleep.
It was stimulating at the same time, and I think I nodded off. Felt so good.
Was Eric Wood involved, or Bill Nelson? Or?
It was a couple of people. It was in Santa Ana, I believe.
Oh, I remember that show. I know the exact show. I was there. I played that show, and it was Nelson and John Weiss.
Oh, right.
I remember that show. Yeah.
That was one
2003. I remember.
Very good memory of a noise show.
That's where I met you, as a matter of fact, and Jerry.
Oh, nice.
For the first time. Yep.
I think that's the first time I also saw
Lucas Abela.
Oh, yeah.
Playing the amplified glass.
Justice Yeldum.
Yeah. He smashed the glass and bled all over his face, and wow, that was incredible. And I remember Vialca. Remember that band, Vialca? They're from France. The drummer was in tears. I thought they were from France, but maybe I'm wrong, because I've met them in France. But I think they're the band that's played the most shows of any band in the world ever, I think.
I remember they were touring a lot.
Yeah. They live on the road. I mean, they played more shows than Sakara.
I think they were bickering before the show. It was kind of humorous.
Yeah, I think they were getting a little tired. But I remember that they were about to go on tour with this Justice Yeldum guy.
Lucas Abela.
Yeah, and then when they saw his performance, I remember she was in tears. She was so traumatized by it, because he smashed. He had this lubricant that he sprayed all over his face, and then smashed his face up against some glass that he had picked up that day, and then just that kind of stuff with pedals strapped to him, and then it was a 5-minute performance, and then smashed the glass on his face, and the glass went everywhere, and his blood gushed out of his face.
Ate the glass, bit into it. Did he change his name so that he could actually get gigs? Because I
kind of like the Germs.
Yeah.
Changed their name to get gigs.
Yeah.
That's funny, because when I picked him up that day, he was at the dude's house, the Germs guy.
Don Bowles?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh yeah, he's a big fan of the weird out there stuff.
Yeah, that was weird. But it's a small world when you get into music and weirdness, because. Yeah. To me, it seems normal, and I feel at home and comfortable with all this weird shit, And then when I go to work, it's like America's Dancing Idols, whatever they talk about, that stupid shit.
Every week.
And it's like I just tune out. Thank God for the iPhone, I can just,
Yeah, I bring my computer to work.
There you go.
I'll just
or
my MP3 player, and I'll just have it in one ear all day.
Yeah.
So I won't have
I mean, thank God people are into zombie apocalypse TV shows, because that's the only thing we can talk about. But, so anyway, but what else are you guys inspired by, artistically or musically, whatever? Film, whatever. I'm big into film, so
Yeah.
I know
films
you.
and books.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Oh yeah. What do you read?
Well, right now I'm reading the Dune series. I've already
Frank
finished
Herbert?
the original Frank Herbert ones.
What
and
deep-
now I'm reading the ones that his son is helping to write.
Oh really? No kidding. They're carrying the tradition on.
Oh yeah.
How many? What are the titles?
They've done 2 trilogies and a little more than that so far.
I was into those books when I was younger.
Yeah.
You're looking at me, Steve. What's the question?
Oh no, I was just listening.
Did you read those books ever?
I really didn't get into it when I was younger.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, the movies, David Lynch, it's cool, but excuse me, it doesn't capture the books.
Well, it doesn't capture the whole thing, but
yeah, the whole
I think
scope
in and
of
itself as a movie, it's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, the production design and everything is just amazing, and the actors.
For people that don't know about Dune, you like watch the movie, you get like a basic rough skeleton of the story, and then go read the book.
But like George Lucas got a lot from that, like the whole idea of the desert planet and the whole epic like scope.
I think he also got something from The Little Prince. He got some of the storyline for his movies from the
Frank
Herbert.
Herbert.
No, George Lucas.
George Lucas.
The Little Prince, like the
that
fairy tale.
Little boy in the desert.
Oh,
right.
right,
yeah.
the desert land. And,
We have things in common. We like deserts. I mean, all of us have played out at a desert location in the Mojave several times, in different bands. I mean, it's kind of like the Congress. We help our friends out. Here.
I love the desert. I tripped through it. I've hitchhiked through the deserts. I wouldn't recommend it, but I got through the Mojave Desert, hitchhiked through the Arizona desert, drove through it, and I can see where you're coming from.
Nice.
Really? So interesting. So we talked about a little bit about the written word. What about film?
Well, I just was watching the second part of The Human Condition today. What's his name?
Tatsuya Nakadai.
Nakadai stars in it, but the director
Kobayashi. Masaki Kobayashi.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
that's
genius.
God damn it.
So you watched part 2 then?
Yeah.
You guys should watch this movie, The Human Condition. It's like 9 hours.
Yeah, I'm watching part 2 right now, and just ripped me apart. Like, man, there's 9 parts to it?
What? Yeah, but the American versions were like 2 parts each. So
okay,
yeah. It's like 6 parts or something, but 9.5 hours or something total, and it's World War II era. But the director is a pacifist, and he was in the Japanese military as a young man, and resisted, and you don't even know what he really went through. I mean, he didn't talk about it much, but his films really express that. Yeah,
the main character is conscripted to go and take care of this like Japanese-run mine in Manchuria, I think, and he has all these like prisoners of war that he has to kind of look after, but he's like a really good-hearted guy, and it's like this brutal environment for him to have to live in, but the whole thing is him struggling with keeping his humanity and in this terrible circumstance that he's forced to have to be in, and God, it's just ripping me apart. It's a very good movie.
Well, part 2, Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket got a lot from that.
Oh, really?
If you haven't gotten that far into it, but the whole boot camp, military training.
Oh wow.
Stuff.
Oh, you mean the second movie?
The second movie.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't started the second movie yet. I'm just on part 2 of the first movie. So.
I mean, I noticed that. Maybe I'm wrong, but maybe it's just a coincidence. But I think Kubrick had seen that film, But if you like Full Metal Jacket, then that's what you should check out. But that actor is just, he can't be beat.
Yeah, no, Nakadai.
the main actor in Ron.
Yeah, and
Kurosawa.
Sword of Doom.
Sword of Doom, yeah.
Which Francisco you really need to see. It's
movie recommendations for the public out there.
Yeah.
Waiting my appointment.
Film influences me more than any other form of art, so because that brings together the music and visuals and everything and story. But
yeah, that's what I get from David Lynch. He's really, even though he might be hard of hearing physically, but he pays a lot of attention to sound. In his movies.
One time I did get to see in the theater his Eraserhead.
Oh yeah,
and that was a totally different experience than watching it on. That influenced the whole music of noise. And somewhere I read that he found old tapes in a studio garbage can or something in Hollywood, and that's where he got all those. It was like backgrounds, like sound effect backgrounds.
Oh. Right.
Like, somebody needs, there's a film section, the sound designers need to make the proper background for like a factory scene or something. So there's all this stuff, and he would use that for the soundtrack. And it's just weird. He's a genius of sound design.
Yeah. I think it was at Mulholland Drive. I saw it the second or third time. The person I was with said she thought she was going to have a heart attack at certain points of the movie because there's so tense music and the visuals. And then towards the end, there's a part where this woman, I think, turns to run or turns to like goes away in fear, and like there's this bass, like, and it just goes right to your guts. So he just did it perfectly to match this person's like complete breaking down in despair.
Well, and that also brings me back to another film with that same director as Human Condition. That's Qui-Gon.
Oh, Qui-Gon. Yeah.
Speaking of sound, use of sound and music combined.
Yeah.
Takamitsu is the composer who was doing this stuff like what you guys are doing, kind of, back in the early '60s in Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, God.
That's an amazing movie.
Yeah. So anyway, you guys want to keep talking, or should we just end it? It's getting late.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
Yeah. Any more questions?
What do you think, Steve? Do you have any more questions? You're.
It's just an observation. You guys are so what's the word? Synchronized. You like really synchronized. How do you get to the level out where you are? You just work together. So it was very. I wanted to like have people get like a concept of what you're doing because I was watching it and it's like really it was a mind. It was like a mind blower.
Attention to the other person.
Yeah.
And you have to maintain what you're doing, keep an ear out for what the other person's doing, and then respond to that. You can kind of communicate back and forth through what you're doing in sound, and hopefully it'll mix. Try to mix it together and it comes out. Satisfactory.
Yeah, you sort of listen to where it's going and where, I'll listen to where Francisco's taking it, or vice versa, I'm sure. And I don't know, I just kind of keeping the other person's actions in focus, and I'm the sound mixer guy, so I've got to listen to see if one of us is too loud and one of us is too soft. So
we didn't have any moments of uncontrollable feedback during the set.
No,
you're working really hard to avoid that stuff. It looks like
feedback is always a problem with this kind of stuff. But no, we had no feedback today. That was great.
I know sometimes I space out. I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be paying attention.
But I have to say, I'm listening on headphones, mixing what's going out to the public, and I have to say it sounds a lot different in the room than it does in the headphones. So in the room, it's kind of not as harsh as I'm presenting it to everyone out there. because I'm trying to maximize the levels, make sure it's
right.
No, I mean, there's times when you guys are quieter and stuff, and I don't like push it all the way up, but yeah, but it's in the room. It's kind of it fills the space more, and it's hard to describe, but it's less of a slamming you with audio than I probably am presenting to people out there.
Oh, yeah,
I said, Steve, put your headphones on. Yeah. Then he took them off after a minute because he kind of liked it the way it sounded in the room better.
That's funny.
I have noticed the difference with bands. Like, I'm really picky when it comes to songs, keeping songs. If I get them, I don't like them, I'll get rid of them. But even though I like the band and I would see them live, I might not keep some of their music because it's not the same. I'd rather see them live. It doesn't compare. You know, the music, maybe some of their music doesn't compare to their live shows. I would prefer to see them live sometimes.
Well, that's the whole trick with sound engineering and mixing, to get it to sound the way it actually sounds in the room. That's that's alchemy. I mean, there's an art, and some people are geniuses at it.
Sometimes that's not necessarily maybe the wrong goal. Like if let's try to replicate exactly what's in the room. Well, how about, because I know people mix differently for vinyl and for CD.
That's right.
They should. I'm sure some people do it. They keep in mind that this is going to sound different on CD anyway, so let's just make a good CD. Kind of like when people adapt a movie from a book. Well, let's take what we want out of the book and make a good movie. Kind of like Kubrick did with The Shining.
Yeah, that's a perfect example. It's like Cormac McCarthy's books. Try to translate them into a film. It's like you're removing the poetry out of it, and you're just literal translation, and it's like still good, but
from the other media.
Yeah, then you have to do something like what Kubrick did, which is use Penderecki and all this weird music and flashes and cuts and
kind of
Diane Arbus images and all this weird shit to translate, Otherwise, it's just a literal,
That's another great movie.
Yeah.
That I saw. I think there's something to be said for young, like children watching horror movies at a certain young age. Like, you're not going to have that, I guess, traumatic memory if you don't watch them at a young enough age. I think I saw The Shining when I was like 5.
Oh God!
And for some reason they showed it uncensored on TV. I think it was old Channel 13, Los Angeles.
With the blood flowing through the
the
elevator,
the bathroom scene, and everything.
What?
And The Exorcist. I remember seeing one of my very first memories was watching The Exorcist.
The things that shaped Francisco.
The Exorcist is a good example, also, like where they've transcended something there. Yeah.
They did a lot of good sound design in that too. Those kinds of movies.
Penderecki again.
Yep. You gotta watch young so you can get that.
That's what got me
trauma.
into.
That'll always be, kind of reactivated when you watch the movies again, and then you have the adult appreciation of it also.
Yeah.
So you have that visceral memory plus the intellectual analyzing of it and everything. Some people might not get that when they're too old to watch it. It's like, it's just a 70s horror movie.
Right.
80s horror movie.
Because they're only seeing the surface stuff, like the fashions and all that.
Yeah, now we can see all kinds of gore on the internet, so it's not as novel or maybe striking as it used to be.
Yeah. But you got to have a William Friedkin, though, someone who can is just beyond like everyone else, Yeah. So anyway, I guess this is probably the end of the interview at this point. We should continue this another time, maybe do another show in a few months.
That'd be fun.
It'd be really nice.
That'd be rad.
Yeah.
So take what we learned from this time.
Yeah, thanks for coming in.
I learned
this
at least
is amazing.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in. It's been an experience for me. It's like an education for me.
All right.
I mean, I'm one of those older guys. You talk about watching movies back in the 70s, and I could see things maybe different perspective now.
Yeah.
And by all means, I'd love to have you guys back.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed this.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys. Good night.